Hey guys, what's up? Public back with another video, and in this one, I'm going to talk about just how Shadow feels like leveling open world. We got a massive rework earlier, and I've had to level up my priest again to start testing endgame stuff again. But after streaming, I kind of want to just do like a thoughts on like how Shadow feels in like the open world, because it's so much better than I thought it was going to be, between our talents giving us options on how to kill things, our ability to just self-sustain and pull a ton of mobs. Like, it's actually kind of a monster in open world right now. So I want to take the video and kind of talk about what I really like about this, and kind of go over like how each Covenant ability has started to feel now that we've gotten access to them while leveling, and go over just kind of my thoughts on that. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so first things first, how does it feel to play? I mean, honestly, it feels pretty great. I mean, the rework did a lot of things, I think, with our like AoE potential in general, which I'm excited to test out in Mythic Plus, hopefully in the next couple days. But as I've been leveling, I just found that, like, I just have options, right? Like, I have things to do. I don't need Void Form to kill mobs. In fact, I wasn't actually using Void Form very much, just because right now it does cost quite a lot of insanity to get up to Void Form and cast it. So, honestly, I've just been kind of mind blasting, devouring plague, and Shadow Word Deathing my way to victory here, right? Things are just dying so quickly, and part of that is because I just have a lot of gear left over from BFA, but also it's just because I have a lot of answers to things, right? I don't need a heavy ramp. I don't need to chain pull anything. Pretty much have all my stuff all the time, right? And on top of that, my self-sustain is pretty great, right? Between Devouring Plague, Vampiric Touch, Vampiric Embrace, my baseline healing is incredible. And I also have Desperate Prayer, or I can just, fear mobs and Shadowman myself if things get a little hairy, which really hasn't happened quite yet. And honestly, it's just, I can do a lot more than I have in the past. If you're leveling, I've been using a lot of Surrender to Madness as well, because it's an instant cast, full Insanity Bar Void Form. You get to kill a mob within 25 seconds or so, which is pretty easy to do. So honestly, I'm having a lot of fun just, chain pulling what I can, doing whatever I can, pulling lots of mobs, and I can kill them all pretty quick. And even if I'm just, mind searing my way to victory, it's still pretty great. Between mind sear and, using Devouring Plague, dotting everything, and man, Shadow Word Death just hits like a truck. Especially with various talents, we have just so many options of how you want to level. There's not necessarily like a leveling build, but let's go over kind of what talents I'm using, what's working, and what's fun to play with. Okay, so as far as the talent trees go, we have like a lot of great options. So what I've been using right now is Death and Madness, Body and Soul, Misery, Last Word, Psychic Link, Damnation, and then Surrender to Madness. This has kind of been my go-to build for most of leveling. So let's start with level 15 row. Death and Madness is amazing. It's probably maybe even too strong. They actually fixed it now, so if you do kill something with Shadow Word Death, it does properly reset the button. And hot damn, I mean, this is amazing. It's doing so much damage, especially if you wait until like 20%. You're just like sniping mobs, like bang, bang, done, dead. Everything's dead. It's so satisfying to use. It's probably maybe a bit overtuned for how much it's doing, but oh man, is it great for leveling. I mean, you're just able to decimate things once they get low enough range. Even using above 20% can still, deal a lot of damage on mobs. The only thing is, it is buggy right now. Some people pointed out on my stream that I did verify this, that whatever you're targeting is where Death and Madness debuff goes on, even if you hit Shadow Word Death on another enemy. So that part is still kind of buggy, but as long as you tab target effectively, it's working really well. Unfurling Darkness can also be pretty strong, although I found that I'm killing things so fast that dots aren't always super important. Although having Vampiric Touch up on more mobs does give you more procs of things, so that can be helpful, but honestly, Death and Madness feels like the talent to pick for leveling. It's very strong. Skipping over level 25 row, going to level 30. I think Misery is just the default here, just because, again, it kind of helps you get your dots up quickly. However, having Searing Nightmare is still very, very useful, depending on what you're pulling and what you're doing. I found there were some situations, if I was using Misery, I was like, man, it'd be really nice to have Searing Nightmare here. And again, as I mentioned, dots aren't that big of a deal, so you could just forego Misery here and just go Searing Nightmare instead. Just kind of depends on how you want to pull and how aggressive you want to be. So I was kind of doing a more like chill style, so Misery always felt good just to get baseline dots on all my targets, right? Moving on past level 35 row into 40. Psychic Link has just been my choice here. It's not doing like a ton of damage. It's like 5% or so, 10% on packs, but it's just nice to have that kind of spread damage when, I do want to cast Mind Blast often, even if it gets a Proctoring Mind Seer or whatever else it is. And personally, I just don't like playing with Shadow Crash, so that's what I did that. And AS in like a leveling environment or an open world environment, you're not going to get as many procs on a lot of targets, so I think Psychic Link is probably the default choice here. And then moving on to level 45 row, Damnation feels amazing. Man, it's just, you Mind Blast Damnation, and then you basically Mind Flay the Shadow Word Death range. The mob dies within like 3 seconds. It's pretty fantastic. I think this is the best option here. You know, Bender leveling is whatever. You're not getting that many casts since you don't have the legendary, so who needs a minute cooldown? And kind of, you know, Void Torrent is just another, the mob is probably going to die before Void Torrent even finishes its channel, so might as well just use Damnation. Okay, and then last but not least, by far, Surrender to Madness is amazing. The fact that you get like an instant cast Void Form just makes me feel like this is what Void Form should be with like baseline, but man, Surrender is great to play with. You can almost guarantee that you're going to kill something within 25 seconds. There have been even some mobs that are like big boss mobs that I can kill like barely within 25 seconds, but almost everything else is fine here. I find myself like using this on a mob and then just kind of ignoring it to keep up the surrender as long as possible and then sniping it towards the end of the debuff duration. Just a note here, for some reason the Surrender to Madness, because it does trigger a Void Form, it only has Void Eruption hitting the target you cast on. That part's not working AoE wise, but I'm sure that'll get fixed. Otherwise it feels pretty great, and I haven't killed myself yet, although be a little careful using this on certain like quests, like end quest mobs, because some of them just have RP and then run away, and I've definitely had some close calls, and I probably should have died, but, you know, RP in the quest saved me there a little bit. But so be a little careful. Legacy of the Void just doesn't really make any sense. And again, Ancient Madness, while can be pretty good if you do chain pull, I think Surrender is just the go-to. Just you get the instant cast Void Eruption. You don't have to worry about having enough insanity. It's pretty strong. So that's the talents, guys. Okay, guys, and then again, how am I leveling? How is this working? You know, you are getting Covenant abilities as you level. Some of them do kind of change up your gameplay, but again, most of them are kind of more in the range of, you know, I'm going to use Damnation to pull with Mind Blast and maybe do some Misery, dotting everything, and basically just Mind Sear my way to victory. You know, use Death and Madness with Shadow or Death as much as possible. And, you know, some of the Covenant abilities I did use a bit more often than others. So while I was leveling, you know, Unholy Nova got quite a lot of use just because it's easy to press while I'm, like, on the move, like kiting a lot of mobs, for example. The Kyrian ability, man, the Kyrian Boon to Descent ability feels so awkward to press, especially at ranged. Most importantly, like, right now, since Mind Flay is such a core part of our gameplay, since this ability, you know, transforms our Mind Flay into Ascended Blast, it feels super weird to use this outside of Void Form because you just don't have much to press, especially if you're just at ranged. Now, of course, you can spam Ascended Nova, which is fine. Although, funny enough, you know, if I go the entire direction of Boon of the Ascended, like, basically everything is dead with Ascended Nova by the time the eruption actually happens. So I find I didn't really get much use out of this ability, but, you know, it was okay. Venthyr, I haven't actually gone into that zone yet. That's the one I haven't done yet. But, you know, it's a single target ability. I'm probably not going to use it very much. Maybe to help transition to the Void Form more. But again, it's not AoE, so not that big of a deal. Pretty boring. I'm sure it'll be great for raids. Their soulbinds are pretty fantastic. But who knows? I mean, honestly, all of our Covenant abilities are not that great. So, and then moving on to the last one. Night Fae is so bad. It is just terrible. They need to rework this. Before I didn't like it, but at least it worked. Now it still hasn't been changed. So even though we're not in Void Form very often, the way you get the CDR is by using Void Bolt. You can still give yourself Insanity with Power Word Shield. However, you know, you still have to wait for the weakness buff to wear off. You can't spam shields on yourself, right? So I found most often than not, it wasn't really worth the GCD to use Fae Blessings. I mean, I got a few Power Word Shields off to get some Insanity off of it, but not really that impactful in leveling. You're killing stuff so fast, it's not really that big of a deal. So yeah, Covenant abilities, guys, not that impactful. You're basically just running around, devouring, plaguing as much as you can, using Surrender on cooldown, and just kind of mind steering your way, and then Shadow or Death with Death and Madden. That's the way to kill everything, guys. So, I mean, TLDR, everything feels really great as Shadow while I'm leveling. I'm really excited to get into endgame content, but I wanted to bring you guys this just if you're getting into beta, you're wondering what talents work, what doesn't, kind of my thoughts on things. But we have a lot of options here. You can go Death and Madness, Unfurling Darkness, Searing Nightmare, Misery. You got some good choices about, you know, how you like to level, what you like to do. So have fun leveling. Hope you guys enjoy it. See you in the next one.